I have a confession. My new most favorite chapstick is nipple cream, and it works really fantastically. I highly recommend it. The purple one, what is it called? Lanolin or something?
It has lanolin in it. It's like Lanoderm or something like that.
Something like that.
That's what I recommend absolutely everybody.
All you skincare nerds are probably like, yeah, I already knew. But my lips be so hydrated now that I have nipple cream on them.
The real question is, did you borrow it from your dad?
He gave it to me because he's done with his treatment. So he doesn't, he's like, I don't need this anymore. I was like, thank you. And now I have all the nipple cream I could ever want.
I love the nipple cream. I'm always recommending nipple cream to everyone. Nipple cream, nip cream is the best cream.
Nip lip cream.
Oh, love me the nip cream. Everyone out there, if you're an esthetician and you do not understand what nipple cream is used for, please go look it up. Go look up all the studies. You can use petroleum, but nipple cream, lanolin has so many more research done on it for keeping in your hydration and helping the barrier.
Well, I have another. I mean, it's not a confession; it's a testimonial. If you get dry cuticles, mine crack like to where the point where they bleed, and I put basically petroleum on one night, and then I was complaining to Sybil, "It's not working; it hurts." And she's like, "Use the nipple cream," and I was just like, "Oh, you're so right." One day, gone. It's totally better.
I know. It's almost like you have an esthetician bestie who tells you how to do things.
But, I like to say no, and then I do it later.
I know. It's amazing. It's amazing. All right. Let's get this show started. I'm excited. Hi, I'm Sybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses. Running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I've already figured it out, but we promise to share everything we know about how to make six figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
A bunch of it totally sucks, but let's get started.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we are talking about our predictions for the next year and tying up the dumpster fire that is 2020.
And we're going to talk about why 2021 is going to be all the same and yet totally different.
Mm-hmm. New year, new you, but not really.
No, same you, pretty much same you, but maybe new mindset.
Pretty much same you.
Yeah.
I mean, planning and just thinking ahead for 2021 right now feels kind of like, it still feels unsure, Like it's very clear that this isn't going to take 2 weeks. I had pushed my retreat, my in-person event to 2021 because I thought, well, of course we'll have it figured out by then. And I don't feel like I want to get on a plane right now. So I'm sort of feeling like I'm kicking the can down the road for some of the live in-person things, but also just trying to figure out, okay, but how can I don't want to say stay afloat, but keep the train moving in 2020,
right? Well, and if you remember, go back into our podcast. I spoke at the very beginning of all this and said 2 years, guys, 2 years. And I feel very confident with that 2-year mark still, for it to feel comfortable in America again, for people to be okay. We're recovering a little bit. Because remember, we haven't even moved into recovery of what's happening yet.
Nope.
So, we're all like, hey, it's all going to be fine. It's not.
We're getting stimulus checks again.
Oh my God. By the way, guys, so that was just passed. We have apparently PPP out, which I never got. Alex never got.
No. You have to have employees.
Checks. Right? What?
PPP, you need to have employees.
Yeah. I mean, you can be your own employee and still get the PPP.
But also, I mean, I'm at the point, you guys have been following along on my financial literacy journey. If I don't have to, I don't really want more debt right now, even if it is could be forgiven.
PPP has been 100% forgiven. It is literally free money.
Everybody?
Every single person who got the PPP has been forgiven that money. It has been free money. So I just want to let everyone know you can get that money 100% forgiven. We did not get in our pots. I tried to get it, right? We did not get that money. You and I got SBA loans, which have not been forgiven.
No, they haven't.
No. And why have they not been forgiven?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, we're also not making payments on it. These are all great questions.
No, but we're it's about to. April is when we have to start making forgiveness.
Oh yeah.
For
Oh, my
payment.
favorite is when you call companies. I was, calling my credit card companies trying to get APRs lowered. And they're like, "Oh, our COVID help ended in October," and I was like, "I'm sorry, I forgot the pandemic was over. Come
Right.
on."
Right. Yeah. So people who got the PPP, they have they're getting all their stuff forgiven. They're like, thanks for the handout.
Oh,
People who didn't get that, they're like, SOL. And people who, just got SBA loans, which for whatever reason, my SBA loan stopped me from getting the PPP. Every time I try to get the PPP, they're like, oh, but you have an SBA loan. I'm like, I didn't know that getting the SBA loan said that I couldn't have the PPP.
Oh.
I don't. And they're like, no, you should have been able to. And then they're like, no, never mind. No, you can't have it. No.
Well, you know what? Lessons learned from the last round of PPP loans is that the people who had relationships with banks already were first in line. So I would recommend, if you're thinking about a PPP, I want to just like P cubed loan. What I made a note for myself. I'm going to go call my bank now and just start the conversation and see if there's anything I can do to just at least get the ball rolling, so that when that money is released, that I could possibly be in line.
And actually go with something like Square, because they actually so some of these banks that did better were actually Square,
banks, PayPal.
PayPal, like any of the e-commerce ones did a better job at it because they're used to working with small proprietors.
Oh, okay.
So like the larger banks of the world, they kind of sucked balls at it.
All right, made another note. All right, y'all. Here we go. 2021. Got a plan for that.
When you talk to people about it, they did much better when they did like not Wells Fargo's and the Chases and the whatever of America.
I was going to ask
what you're going to have to show is 25% less money from the last quarter. So 2019 to 2020, some quarter, whichever quarter it is, you have to show less money made.
Oh, I could do that. So, can I pick and choose?
Some quarter.
Really?
Some quarter. That's what they're saying. I mean, listen, this is all like
hearsay.
What we learned about the PPP from last time is that it's constantly evolving and changing.
AKA everyone's making it up.
Right. They're making it up as they go along, and they change the rules. So, and that's the thing. They'll be like, oh, so this is the rule today. This will be the rule tomorrow. Who knows? Just grab money. Grab it while you can.
It feels sort of like that game, right, where you're in the telephone booth and the money is like flying all around you. You're just like,
yes, that's exactly what it feels like. I just like put it in your shirt. Put it down your head.
Whatever. I mean, okay, if the PPP is fully forgiven, it is free money. And like, I mean, this is just 2020. If you have made it this far, I think here's another just thing of like setting goals and looking towards 2021.
Yeah.
If you are still here, you are winning. Even if you have closed down your business, closed up shop, if you're unemployed, whatever, the fact that you are still standing is a win. And you should celebrate the shit out of that.
Absolutely. Guys, 2020 has been a bitch of a year. And I want to use a whole nother word, but it has been one of the hardest years ever. And I'm going to tell you, 2021 will hopefully be a little easier, but I'm going to be straight with you. I don't think it's going to be great. It's going to be a hard year as well. So have expectations to be like, this is going to be a building year. 2021 is going to be a year where you're going to need to build. You're going to start pulling your stuff back together. You're going to build, but it's going to be a harder year. It's not going to be all rainbows and sunshine and puppies.
No.
So set intention to be like, this is the stuff that I'm going to get my stuff together and get done. It's not going to be as bleak as 2020, but there are going to be hard times. So, pull your posse together, get your ducks in a row, and know that you're going to make some hard choices based on stuff that happened in 2020.
Yeah. And I think too, if you are waiting for a sign that it's time to pivot and take action, this is your sign. Take action.
The signs have been coming. The universe has been trying to explain it to you.
Yes.
Like, pay attention.
Yes, we have been saying. But honestly, like, I mean, I think especially going into a new year, it's like even more clear that like this is the way things are now.
Yeah. Like, it's not changing. And I know that, we have a magical vaccine now that's, apparently going to make everything go back to normal. It's not going to go back to normal. This is our new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're going to have new incentives and new stuff that's going to be happening. Lots of stuff going down. I have lots of predictions about the fact that we have more businesses that are going to be closing, and we have banks that are going to be like, hey, so you haven't paid your loans? high. Money is due. Credit cards are due.
Yeah.
Rent is due.
It's all due.
All those things that you put off and you've kicked that can down the road, that's all coming to fruition.
So what are some of your, I was going to say your predilections, your predictions?
My predictions, which have pretty much all come to pass.
I know, it's really actually annoying.
If we watch, I do think 2021 is going to be a year of building. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have where 2020 was just a year of like, you can't plan anything.
Yeah.
2021 is going to be a year where we can make a little bit more. We're going to be able to do a little bit more planning. You're not going to do long-term planning though, because it's still going to be too unknown. But you're going to at least be able to look down a little bit farther down the road and be like, okay, we're going to have some more stability. And some of that is because we're going to have a different like presidency, which is going to be good. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be able to make some changes. There's going to be a lot of businesses and stuff that are going to be closing. And because of that, your industry is going to take a hit. Our industry is going to take a hit. All industry is going to start taking a hit, including, I think, sales in general. Right now, we have not felt sales. Sales are like popping. People are like, Christmas did more money this year than anything.
Really?
And how is that possible? Because I mean, I know that I'm not getting my biggest paycheck ever.
No, yeah, I know. I mean, I've had more cancellations in the last 2 months than ever before. And
well, that's because they're buying things instead of buying your things.
Right. I mean, that's what comes back is like, oh, you know, my partner hasn't been working and things are just really tight right now. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So our industries are, and you know, I always tell people as an esthetician, I've talked about this in other episodes, is that I feel like we feel what's coming first. Like when I used to work, you know, in this job amongst the people, I would be like, hey, I feel something coming down the pipeline. Something is happening to people. I'm getting cancellations. People are like tightening their belts. Something is coming.
Which you were saying last year, this same time.
And guess what? It was coming.
I was so annoyed that you were right.
It was coming, and like nobody saw COVID coming, but like we felt that recession already kind of pushing. Yeah. So we had COVID. That recession is still looming. It's still here. It's coming. Now it's coming harder because so many people are not working.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're not in the workforce. And those jobs aren't coming back. So if a restaurant has gone under, if a spa has gone under, if a gym has gone under, if an industry has gone under, you know, we have a film. So I'm from LA and I moved from there for the time being because that industry is not working as much and everything runs on it. And so if you're in a place where some industry isn't working right now, all those jobs aren't coming back right away.
No. And I think they're going to be different.
Right.
You know, like even just like from an office job standpoint, like I know that in my husband's company, they've been doing a lot of downsizing because companies are realizing, oh, we don't have to have everybody in here all the time. Right. You know, half the office can come in and they can rotate and do whatever. So like, yeah, it's different and it's cheaper for businesses. So why wouldn't they do that?
Of course. I think a lot of real estate is going to be changing. You know, office space is going to be changing. Now, understand that where there's a vacuum, new industry appears, and but that takes a little bit more time. And I'm excited to see where the new industry appears because there's going to be all kinds of new industry. I don't 100% know where it's going to come yet, but I have ideas. I know that there's going to be all kinds of new industry around delivery, around online, which is what we're seeing, you know, but delivery is going to be huge and bringing things to people's home virtually. We're going to see more of that and also making communities online.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. I just saw an example of that newsletter that I subscribe to called the Anti-Racism Daily, which is super educational. I'm on her Patreon too. She just created a community as well. So it's like, oh, awesome. Now I have a place on the internet to go where I know I can be educated and connect with like-minded people. And for sure, like online communities they're not the same, but it's something, you know?
Right, because people are going to be afraid for a little while. This has freaked out a lot of people, and that is not going to go away right away.
You know what the weirdest thing I think about, and maybe some of our listeners have this as well, that there are people who live in a completely alternate reality where like this doesn't exist. And I'm just
I live in that area.
Yeah.
I live in the area of the country.
It's just like, wait, what? Like, how do you explain the fact that like over 300,000 people just died in the last 11 months?
I mean, people die all the time.
Yeah, but not like this.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely being in Vegas, I definitely live in the place where people are like, my friend who was just visiting from Portland was like, that dude's just not wearing a mask. He just literally walked into a store without a mask on. What? And I was like, yeah, no, this is Vegas. Like, we have mask rules, but like if you don't follow it, nobody gets on
It's
about
like an
it.
open carry state, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like people like just like whatever. It's like, it's very liberal and people are like whatever.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, even just like, within my own family, someone saying like, oh, well, I disinfect whenever I visit with people. And it's like, hi, so this is airborne. It's not surface borne. So it doesn't fucking matter that you Lysoled everything when this person left, when you sat with them for 2 hours in your house without a mask on.
Right. Well, and every esthetician listening is just like, we've been doing this forever.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new to us. Like literally every esthetician's like, this is the world we've been waiting for.
Yeah, no, you guys are prepped and ready. Okay, I interrupted you. What other predilections?
What other predilections do I have? Whatever predictions do I have? I see. So one of the things, and we're gonna get real talk on this because we've talked about it before, is I do see more and more of kind of like the conversation going towards this disjointedness in America, right? How we have all this hate happening and this divide, and I see more and more of that, and I'm hoping it, because we can maybe we can talk about it, that we dispel some of it, but I'm worried that is not what's going to be happening right now. I can hope, I have hopes, lots of hopes.
Well, I do have, I'm just like, how to word this.
Yeah.
Social media is fucking things up.
It is.
For example, I hop on Facebook and I have a friend of the family who I still stay connected with because, they're tolerable and fine. Resharing things that are like factually inaccurate and have already been proven to be false. And from March, and sharing it again. And it's just like, that's not true.
Right.
And it's going to be amplified and shared. And then it's just, the algorithms aren't helping us. And I feel like, Tristan Harris, who did The Social Dilemma and has been, doing like the media circuit as well. It's just like these tech companies have to step up and do something because this doesn't work. Clearly.
Well, until somebody makes them do it via laws and regulation, which I'm not a big fan of regulation on the internet, but like in this case, like we've got fake news, we've got lies, and essentially this is misinformation and disinformation and propaganda, which, I mean, let's talk about how we can use that like the Nazis. This is how Goebbels did it. This is how Goebbels created hate and the Nazi movement very, very effectively.
Yeah.
Very effectively.
So
and if you haven't studied Goebbels, go do it, guys, because it's exactly what's happening right now. So, I have a lot of concerns, and this is the stuff that I watch. And I don't know if I've talked about this before, but my Facebook page, this is why I'm not on Facebook much, guys. My Facebook page is literally designed to be like all anti-Semitism and white pride and whatever, so I can pay attention to what the other side is saying. Because if you're not paying attention to essentially people who are speaking to not you and not your beliefs, then you're not hearing everything.
Yeah, so true. I dip my toe in the water on different mediums to go see like what people are saying, and it's very uncomfortable, and it's also like incredibly
flat earthers, like go listen to the flat earthers, like,
oh, I know.
I mean, and if you're out there and you're listening and you're like, oh my God, that's me. That's not who Alex and I are, but like, hey, we're listening to you. I'm listening to you on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Hey, but I just saw Saturn with my own eyes. It's crazy.
Right? Did you?
I did. I know. It was kind of like trippy. You can't even wrap your mind around it. So
I know. Happy solstice, everyone.
Yeah, the sun's going to stop setting at 4 fucking o'clock. I can't wait. Okay, so let's talk about kind of like setting the stage for 21 for our business.
Right, which is going to be right. And we're going to keep a mental health outlook.
Yeah.
And we are going to raise the vibration of 2021 by keeping as much positivity in our brain as possible.
Yes.
And calling out the good things while also amplifying like positivity.
Yes. Snaps for that, for all of that.
Right? Okay.
Question for you. You mentioned not long-term planning. So what does not long-term planning look like?
So for me, I would feel very comfortable at quarterly, which I know that you have been working on quarterly. So I felt that was really good. That was a good feel.
Okay, good. So I do also want to touch upon, because I have friends in the online space who have, when the shutdown started happening, and I did this too, I was like, great, I have all this time to work on all the projects I want to because I don't have to go anywhere. And that is not a sustainable pace for anybody. So moving into this next year, one of the journal prompts I actually used this morning, and I highly recommend you give it a shot, is like, where do I want to be a year from now? And I know that's, super long term, but just thinking about, what is it that I want? What am I willing to give up to get there? And I'm not talking about like material things. I'm talking about like giving up fear, giving up doubt, giving up comparison, things like that. And just kind of like deciding now where you want to go, because that will help you make decisions along the way as to what you're actually going to do to get there. The one thing I have been encouraging all of my clients, all of my friends, and myself to do now, but I think is going to be even more important moving forward in this new way of life, which you guys know, it makes me vomit, but is you need to have a hobby. And when I say hobby, I don't mean, something on your computer about your business. Truthfully, like something that occupies your brain and your hands that is really super fun, because I know we are all tactile people. And not having the ability to be in our tactile positions, of like touching clients and working with clients in that way, you need another outlet for that. So for me, that's baking, because I'm following a recipe. I'm building something with my hands. The payoff is less than 2 hours away, and it tastes really super good. And then I get to share it, which is one of my love languages.
You also have, so you have baking, you also have reading, because reading I consider a hobby.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I would say that working out for you is actually a hobby. I know it's part of what you do, what you do, but I also consider that a hobby because,
it is. But when I'm working out, I'm thinking about how this is going to fit into my business. What am I going to use it for social media? So I'm still working even when I'm working out.
Even when you're like hiking and stuff?
Yeah, because we're talking. I mean, hiking a little bit less because I'm with somebody else and we're talking about stuff. But oftentimes, I'm like, even
so you need something completely separate. So you would say, because I'm just making sure that I have because estheticians would be like, well, I mean, skincare is my hobby. Yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure that we're like separating for people what hobbies are.
Not your hobby. I love walking and I walk all the time. But like even last night with Anthony, I had a realization for like my sales page and one of my like points for my offer. So my brain doesn't turn off when I'm washing dishes. It doesn't turn off, when I'm walking, even when I'm hiking, we're having conversations about stuff like that. So for me, like the only way to truly, truly turn it off, and watching television also doesn't turn it off, would be, like you said, for sure, reading, and baking.
Okay, so when you are talking about hobbies, you were talking about something creative or different that makes you, like, I wouldn't even say turn your brain off, but realign your brain to something completely different than what you usually are doing.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you probably still have fun doing your other things, but this is fun in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. And also baking, I mean, there is money involved in baking and buying ingredients. Like, my God, cheesecake, why does it cost $50 in freaking cream cheese to make a cheesecake? But baking was also like, I have stuff around the house. It's relatively inexpensive and I can make multiple things with that same investment. So if you are thinking about money, right, that could be another way to go. But, maybe it's like, because I do think that we all are creative people. So maybe it's music, maybe it's coloring, arts, crafts, something. I think for creative people that, and at least for me, like creating something that I can physically touch.
Makers.
It's so fulfilling. And one of the things about my online business that really kind of triggers me into that, like, keep working, it's not good enough, is that it's not tangible.
Yeah.
I could spend like 10 hours and like, oh, I mean, it's a nice web page, but I'm still going to find something to change. Whereas like with a cake, like once she goes in the oven,
it's done. We're going to eat it. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, and that too was like a realization for me. I was baking a cake like this summer. I was just like, yeah, next time I want to do this. But it was like a joyful thing about looking forward to next time. And there wasn't any of that self-criticism about like, oh, you fucked this one up.
Right.
And then I was just like, oh, wait, why can't I be like this in my business too? So definitely something that you can, that doesn't trigger that overachiever, that perfectionism.
Okay. I like it.
For you.
I see what you're saying. Also with that cake, you're like, it's finished. You can't go back and fix it. No. It is done now.
Yeah.
It's finished.
Yeah.
And you can do the next one and like, make it different, but this is finished now. I feel that way because when I cook, I'm like that. I'm just like, well, I mean, I've now, I can suss it again, but this batch is done.
It's done. But for me too, like cooking, as much as I like it, it feels more like I have to do it. Whereas baking is like delightful because I don't. It's like totally like a frivolous joy almost,
Yeah, I guess it depends. I'm working on getting better. I'm so bad at baking because I'm just not good at following rules.
I know. We're going to bake together. I need to make that cake again. So my favorite cake in the whole wide world is Molly Ye's celebration cake, which is like a homemade funfetti cake. And Sybil and I are obsessed with it. It is truly, truly the best cake ever. No one in my family likes it. So I never make it unless it's you and
They're wrong.
They're wrong. I know.
I'm going to straight up tell you guys. So I am like a super taster, and I will tell you that it is the best cake I have ever eaten, period.
And I didn't just look up Molly Ye, YEH, celebration cake. Like I just did that exact recipe.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
And we've sussed it a little bit, but amazing. Yeah, amazing. Now you all know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be making cake. Okay. Everybody make cake and fail or not fail. You can turn it into cupcakes if you want. It's still amazing.
Yeah. Cookies, scones. Actually, I'm going to make scones for the first time.
Yeah. Get my mom's recipe.
So I'm like getting excited. I'm looking at my thing. So what I want to share with you guys. Okay. So
wait. So hold on. I want you to pull out because we just talked quarterly.
Yeah.
We talked about calendars. So I want you.
Mm-hmm. But not yet. I'm not ready to go there yet. Not yet. Hold on. We're still
all right.
So you have thought about who you want to be a year from now, right? Yeah. And you have chosen a hobby because you need to have that to like pull out on your back pocket when you start to feel yourself getting overwhelmed and anxious and having trouble sleeping and all of those things. I think for me, 2020 has been such a masterclass, not on how to avoid stressful situations and anxiety, but what to do when it happens, and being mindful of those triggers and things not to do. I mean, literally, it's correlated 1-to-1. If I read more news, I don't sleep, and then I feel more anxious and depressed. It's just like
right.
So just stop reading the news, but staying informed. Okay. So you have that set. I'm not starting with goals because you have a life outside of your business. You are more than just your business. And truthfully, your business could end tomorrow and you're still you, right, Sybil?
I agree. I 100% agree. Also, like, I get goaled to death. Like when people are like, what are your goals? I'm like, fuck you and your goals. Like my goal sometimes is just to get the fuck out of bed. And like, nobody can actually say that to somebody. Like my goal is to get out of bed today. Congratulations. Right. What did we start talking about today? I was like, my goal yesterday was to not sit around and just eat chocolate and cookies. That was my goal. I succeeded. It was amazing.
Right. I mean, that's another lesson I learned this year too. I read the book Tiny Habits and I came on here and talked about it too. Highly, highly, highly recommend because it really transformed how I think about habit formation. And that was one of the things that when I was reviewing my goals from last quarter, I realized what was happening and what wasn't happening. We set the bar too high. Right? We say not just I need to get out of bed. It's okay. Well, I need to write 3 chapters of my New York Times bestseller, and then I need to reach out to 45 people and book 17 jobs. And it's just like that's not going to happen, But if the bar is I just have to get out of bed and put socks on today, then you can celebrate that win as soon as you achieve it, and everything else is bonus.
Right. You're like, woo, okay, well, I did the rest of my day today was awesome because I succeeded in getting out of bed. I put socks on. I brushed my teeth. Magic.
Yeah. Yeah. So set the bar super, super low. So I put my goals up here on the wall. One of them, which I'm like, improve my pull-ups. Guess what, guys? I haven't really been working on it, and you wouldn't even believe it, but my pull-ups aren't getting any better. With physical goals, I was like, oh my God, like it literally is you get what you put in. And it's so clear to me with like tangible physical things. And then in my business, I want to increase my monthly income to 5K. And then I look at all the things I've put and I'm like, Yeah, I haven't really done that. I haven't really done any of that. No wonder I hit that peak and then I haven't been able to get back on a regular basis. So then I'm like, re-engineering. Okay, well, how can I make this as simple as possible? What's one of the things? And I want you to think this way about your goals too, right? You set a benchmark. Okay, how can I get there working backwards? For me, hitting that benchmark, I know there's things that have to happen, and having a planned out kind of like marketing strategy where I knew what emails I was going to send, when I was going to send them, where my promotions fit in within the big picture, so that I didn't feel like every month I was like, hey, buy my shit to the people on that email list, which is obnoxious and annoying, you know?
Hey, buy my shit.
Hey, have you seen this? Look at this. It's real cool. Look, buy my shit. No. We don't want to do like,
that's the best way to do it. Not ever. Said no one ever.
Don't do it. So again, what my new mantra is like, set the bar low so that's achievable. And I'll look
actually set the bar super, super low.
Super low. Yeah.
I wrote it down, guys.
Then you can achieve it. So I'm looking around my office. I have this nice calendar that I love right here, but I don't think that Rachel Hollis is making a calendar again next year. And it's kind of like pretty, but like to see especially like a marketing plan or any plan, I need to see the whole at a glance, knowing that that's not my strong point. Okay. So what I did, and Sybil will be so proud. And if you're not,
this run over my heart so much.
So I went online. You can print out calendars for free, y'all.
If you are not watching, if you are just listening from home, she has used a giant, like one of those big Post-it notebooks that you use like when you're doing a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
She has repurposed it and just printed out calendars and stuck them on it.
Yeah. And then I set goals for the quarter because I feel like it gives me more time. So then I was able to look here and plan out, my launch, when those emails were going to happen, and then give some breathing room before I did another launch of a workshop, and then look at the next quarter because I'm an overachiever and do the same thing so that I know that when I come to this desk to do work on January 4th, I believe it is.
She wrote it in pen, by the way, which I think is pretty intense.
And I even whited some stuff out and I was like, oh, it's so ugly, but it's okay.
I would have done it all in pencil.
I do my planner in pencil, but for me,
I would have done it all in pencil. She's hardcore. She's like, I did it in pen.
I wanted the color differentiation because my mom bought me these pens. They bring me so much joy.
You could have done it in like colored pencil, girl.
No, but to me also writing in pen is making a commitment to do the thing.
It's too much commitment for me.
And that's coming from somebody who literally only writes in pencil all the time. So that was huge for me.
Intense, guys. This is very intense.
I know. But now again, like January 4th, I can show up to work. Sybil knocks her stuff over.
I literally got so intense I knocked my mic over.
I can show up to work knowing that there is a plan in place the exact same way where for me to actually get better at my pull-ups, which have been on my thing for a whole freaking year now, I got to show up and do the work.
Okay, so what's important, guys, is that Alex is saying it. She's saying it so wisely. Okay, first of all, you're going to think to yourself, I need to set the bar super, super low. So this is the only podcast you're going to hear us say, set the bar super, super low. Okay, this is 2021. Set the bar super, super low. That way you're going to make your goals. You're like, yeah, you're going to set a goal. You're going to start with one. Start one goal. And then what you're going to do is you're going to set tiny markers, these benchmarks, right? You're going to set some benchmarks to get to that goal. Because what happens is we set these big goals and we don't make it. You know why? Because you're like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing to get there.
I mean, I was setting goals where I was like, I'll make $10,000 next month. And I had no plan on how to get there.
Right. So if you have the goal of, I am going to, and let me tell you straight up, guys, if you're not working right now and your goal is like, I'm going to like go back to work and get clients again, that's going to be a harder goal because you don't know when you're going to go back to work. So let's make sure we set a super attainable goal as well.
Realistic.
Right. Let's start with something like realistic and easy. So maybe it's like, I'm going to make sure I keep the clients that I have. You can do that by what would be good ways to do that? I'm setting up my email list.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And maybe it's like, I'm setting up my email list. I'm going to send out an email. Right. Maybe it's also, I'm going to send out a physical postcard because maybe you're like, those people aren't going to be email people. I'll send out a physical postcard as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Maybe you're a person who's like, I'm also going to call some people. maybe those are your goals. And you're like, okay, and I'm going to set a deadline. And you're going to put it in pen.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the other most important part.
Yep.
You got to celebrate.
You're going to celebrate. How are you going to celebrate?
So my celebration is a little mixture. Sometimes I do the selfie high five, which is just clapping your hands, but I pretend I'm like, yeah, giving myself a high five. And also the fist pump.
I do happy dances.
What was that?
I do happy dances and I sing to myself.
Oh, so I was going to say, inside of my membership, we are doing a challenge, and celebration was a big component of it because it is so critical to habit formation. And one of the members is she twerks to Vivaldi's Four Seasons.
Yeah.
And every time I read that, I'm just like, yes. So have it be something that makes you smile, that you can celebrate. And honestly, one of my goals this year, or moving forward, is just to celebrate more. Because if we can't celebrate even just like the little things along the way, what makes us think that we're going to get to that big goal that we have and feel good about it, and not just set another goal that we feel like we're not there yet,
And this is important. So this is a lesson that we've talked about, that Alex was like, this was like a huge breakthrough for her, like the tiny celebrations. And this was from her Tiny Habits book.
You need to read it.
Right. These are tiny habits. These tiny celebrations, because things just blow by us and we don't reward ourselves for them. Right. We're just like, yeah, I did this thing, whatever, this next thing. And I know as an Aries that I am completely prone to this, where I'm just like, I see the future and I'm just like, whatever I'm doing now, I'm like, of course I was going to do that now. Of course I was going to get that done. No doubt about it. But I need to get that next thing done. And I'm just going to conquer that next mountain. Mm-hmm. And so but if you don't reward yourself, you don't feel that benefit. You don't love yourself for it. And you don't appreciate what you have. No. And you're not living in that moment.
And for me, like, even just hearing you say the word reward, in like my mind, it goes to like, oh, but like that costs money and I don't have a reward. And sometimes like a celebration. So again, whatever you want to call it, reward, celebration. It's just like a moment of hell yeah, in your day. Like that's it, and maybe that's your celebration, that you just go like, hell yeah. And then you go about.
And that's fine. Yeah. And for me, I guess for me, a reward has never been about money.
I know.
For me, a reward is like a pat on the back. Because for me, a reward, I'm like a pleaser. So like for me, I'm like, I want a reward of like, Sybil, you did a fucking amazing job. Be like, yeah, I did. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Which is why if you ever notice, I'll go on Instagram in a second. I'm like, I just finished this thing. And then I dance. And then Tim was like, that's amazing. I'm like, I know. Thank you.
Like whatever you want to do to hack that.
Yeah.
Use the social networking. That's using social networking for good and not evil.
So if you're ever out there and you're like, you saw me, then I was like, I finished this thing and I'm dancing. And that's my celebration. But really, I want people's feedback of being like, you're the best. I'm like, I know, thanks.
Like, thank you.
Because I need the reward of somebody being like, you're the best. I'm like, I know, thanks. It was really hard. This was really hard. I need like somebody's vocalization telling me I'm amazing. Thanks. Because it is hard. We work alone. Mm-hmm. We work by ourselves. And sometimes we just need somebody else to be like, good effing job. Alex does it. Sybil, I finished thing. I'm like, that's amazing.
I know. I hack you. Sometimes I call you to tell you what I did.
I mean, it's hard. We have to be our own cheerleaders, but sometimes we need somebody else to cheer for us as well. Mm-hmm. We don't work with coworkers a lot, and so
from what I hear, coworkers aren't really all that supportive.
I guess they're a bunch of dicks, but like we don't have to. We can like go to our coworkers who are our friends and be like, "I succeeded on this thing," and they can be like, "That's amazing! You're the best."
Yes, and I'm maybe too moving forward towards 2021. What am I going to get rid of, or what's slowing me down? Maybe people in your circle that aren't celebrating you, or sharing with people in your circle that aren't celebrating you, because there are some people who may not be in the same like wavelength or like energy as we are. And so you just have to like almost like protect what you share with them to keep yourself safe,
It's true. And I mean, I'm the first person, like, I appreciate when somebody is like, that's amazing. That's great. What's your next step? Yeah. Like, I'm fine with that. Some people are like, I don't like, can't we just be happy about this step? And I'm just like, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm always like a next stepper, but I have some of my friends who are like, we just need to celebrate this one little thing
right now. Yeah.
And thinking about the next part is too like crazy for me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I
All
think
right.
the better you can know yourself and know your
Mhm.
predilections, is that the proper use of that?
Yes, that is predilections and the people around you. And they
Yeah.
have to just be honest with you about them.
Yeah. So we've talked about like moving forward into the next year. I also think it's really important to like close up the year.
Yeah.
I would say my goal, but I don't even really give a shit if it happens or not. But is to close up my books next week at the end of the year and be done with it, so that I'm ready for taxes whenever my husband is finally ready from his business and all of that stuff. So I know you mentioned inventory as something to go through.
So these are things that I feel that everyone should get done for the end of the year. So believe it or not, my stuff for the end of the year should be easier this year because I don't know about you, but I barely worked. So usually I'm like, my taxes and my inventory and blah, 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 blah. This year I'm like, I don't know about you, but I barely work. So everything should be much easier. So goals. So January, you want to make sure you really run that inventory by the end of at the end of the month, because you got to get that all done. Make sure all your shelves are clean. Go through all of your old product, especially that back bar. Look at the dates and be like, give it a sniff, toss that shit away. Get rid of it. Right? No, it's bad. Get rid of it. It smells like crayons and probably is growing mold. Get rid of it. It doesn't need to be there. Write it off for this year. Just get it out. Right? Be done with it. It's bad.
Can you do that in January to write it off for this past year?
Yeah. So you do it because you just put it on. It's just, you just stick it. You're like, I dispose of it just and sometime in December and it's gone.
Right. Okay.
And they don't effing know when you had it done, but it ran in your inventory.
Okay.
I actually run almost all my inventory. Like I do it between Christmas and New Year's because that's usually when we have off. So that's when I run all my inventory. I do it before January 1st. I don't know when does everybody else do it? Look at the dates in the bottom of your bottles. If they're getting ready to go bad, see if you can run a sale. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Run them 50% off. Out the door. Make them gone. I always write down on my bottles on my back bar when they need to be gone, because now it's the time to pull them forward. If you need to use them faster, or maybe you need to be getting rid of them in another way, give them to a friend, holiday presents, etc., etc. And tax stuff, get all your tax stuff in order. If you're doing the PPP, you need to be running that anyways, because you're going to need all that information. And I prep all of my stuff for any kind of specials or whatever I'm going to be doing for the new year, because people are like, I want a new me. My January is always dead, but hey, if you have some people are very busy in the new year and they sell a lot of things. If you think you're going to, now's the time to start prepping your, all of your Mother's Day and your January sales. And
Mother's Day would be out of the quarter, so we're keeping it to a quarter, right?
We're keeping it to a quarter.
But there's the Valentine's Day in the first quarter.
Valentine's, yeah, you can do Valentine's. It's funny because I always do Mother's Day in January, because I just make a ton of money as Mother's Day, and I like to think about it. I make a ton of money in Mother's Day, and I'm just like, I'm so broke in January. I just want to make a lot of money. Let's just think about that. I just want to think about it a lot.
Well, I already this is also like side note. We've talked about this before of like keeping things simple and like having, like one focused offer and all of that. I have a email sequence going out between Christmas and New Year's to sell some stuff. I have my launch sequence for my January 23rd launch ready to go. And then, other stuff planned down the line, but absolutely. Like for me, one of my goals for 2021 and creating more ease is planning ahead of time. By pausing and taking a step back and like looking at the bigger picture.
I love that too. And while you're all doing that, make sure you look at, make sure you kind of look at your business as a whole. You've planned all these other things, like look at your business, see if you want to like update any equipment. I run all my numbers. So do you run all your numbers too, Alex? You kind of, you run them all the time. You run all your numbers and make sure that if you're not selling something, start thinking about getting rid of it. Like axe it out of your business. If you're not selling a facial, an add-on, ditch equipment. This is the time to think about getting rid of those things. Or if you're like, I love it, why aren't I selling it? Rethink how you're like branding it and marketing it.
Yeah.
Right. And honestly, Yeah. And honestly, sometimes you might love it, but your clients just don't. So yeah, it's sad. And then ditch that item. Just get rid of it. It's not selling. Get rid of it.
No, I think, yeah. And we were talking about this before too, of like 2021 is going to be the year of making decisions. And so you can
Yeah.
just like kind of warm yourself up now to that, of like really taking an honest look at what is working and what isn't, and getting rid of what's not working.
Yeah. And understanding that sometimes what might not be working right now could work later, but we have a few years of things are not going to be normal, like as you're used to. So think about where you're living and what you're going on for your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's most of the things that I do. And then I would say, do Alex's journal if that's what you're into, because it's a great one. I wrote it down. It's where do I want to be a year from now?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think just thinking about that is good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like everywhere in your life. Where do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to be with your family? Where do you want to be with your business? Because it all, as solopreneurs, I think it all connects, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's like the pinnacle of work-life balance.
Right.
You know what? It's just interesting observation, because I think Anthony said this to me like the other day, of just like, well, you're never not thinking about your business. And I was just like, I'm offended. And he's like, well, you're not. And I'm like, I know, but you're not supposed to say that.
But we've talked about that before, that we are workaholics, and like we are, although we always say like you're not your business, we are our business. Like we are, like if our business fails, we haven't failed. That's not what it's about, but we are constantly our business.
Well, there's no one else to think about it if not me.
No.
But I think it's go ahead.
No, you go first.
Oh, I was going to say, this has been a year of boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That working till 7:00 every single night to finish something. Well, I just got to get it done. It doesn't really matter. And had I planned ahead, I wouldn't be, burning the midnight oil, as my mother would say. And so let me set that boundary of my workday ends at 5:30, no matter what. And so that means I have to be a little bit more strategic about how I plan my time.
It's true. So I was going to say something very much like that. So that's why I'm like, I think Alex is going here. And the only thing I would add to that is, I think that we sometimes forget, and this is something that I've had to come to terms with, is I was going to talk about boundaries, is that we, as solopreneurs, that we get very wrapped up in what we do. We feel like this is our baby, right? This is our child. And this is something no one who doesn't have a business will ever understand.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are not a solopreneur, if you have never owned a business, those people are never going to understand you the way that someone else is going to. So when you're like, you wake up at 2:00 in the morning and you're like, no, I have to answer this email, no one will get it. But your friend who's a solopreneur, who owns a business, 100% will.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The person who is like, hey, I totally got it when you decided to cancel on me because you had to finish that like offer, that website, that new menu, because you were just like in the zone. They'll get that.
Yeah.
And I think that it's hard for, I've come to terms with the fact, like, as somebody who, kind of canceled my business this year, there was a great loss. And it was because I was like, I lost a child.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a huge grieving period for it. And now there's like a new kind of like, oh, now I can come out of that and like be excited for something new and different. And I think a lot of people are having that slower because although they didn't lose their business, they're having this slow grief about the fact that their business is like feels ill.
Yeah.
It's not working the way they want it to be working.
Yeah. And not in their control.
Right. And if you look at your business like that, embrace that that's a feeling that you're having, and know that it doesn't matter how many boundaries you're setting, it's the feeling that you're having and experiencing. Mm-hmm. Right. And we set boundaries for ourselves because we want to like live a life with other people and we want to be normal, but we all know that you're still going to try to break those boundaries.
What do you mean? That's my favorite season.
So forgive yourself when you do.
Truthfully, I tell Anthony all the time, like, I can't wait until I am out earning you. So all the times you like roll your eyes at me doing something, I can be like, oh yeah, well, I pay the bills around here.
And it's perfectly fine. And it's perfectly fine. And I always think it's funny when people are like, well, I just let my business run and I do nothing. And I'm just like sitting on a beach. And I look at that person and I'm like, you're a liar on Instagram. You're a liar on Facebook. Yeah. There is no such thing as passive income. You're always hustling.
Yes. Unless you're always and you got about a 20-year head start on all of us.
Yeah, no, you're always hustling. There's always something you're supposed to be doing. There's always something else you're like sussing, massaging, redoing, creating. Otherwise, you die. We're like sharks. You have to just keep swimming.
It's me swimming.
Yep.
All right. So I think there's a lot to set you up to move into the new year, leaving behind what you don't need, and moving towards where you want to be with a new hobby in tow.
Yes. So intent, hobby, not really a goal, but like we're going to say that you have a super, super low bar.
Well, and your goal, I can say like my goal of 5K a month is like doubling where I'm at right now. So it's not a low bar, but the steps I'm taking to get there are small.
Tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're going to create a goal for yourself, right? But like, so it's not going to be like a regular goal where you're like, I'm going to do this thing, make $1 million. Woo. Right. You're like, I'm going to set a goal. It's going to be a realistic goal. I'm going to do this thing. And then I'm going to make these like tiny incremental baby steps to get there.
Yes.
And then I'm going to celebrate each one. And you can share them with us and we'll celebrate with you.
Oh, actually, yeah. I think, okay. So this is what I want from you, dear listener, dear viewer. Text us, call us, send us.
Hashtag. We should make a hashtag.
Well, preferably, I would like you to send us a DM on Instagram at Skinfessional of your, like, the win that you've had. And then you can pick a song.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm totally stealing this from Hey Berna. You should follow her on Instagram. She's the best. And then we're going to like dance. We're going to help celebrate for you.
Okay. Pick a song. We'll celebrate for you.
Yeah. Okay. That's your homework. So at Skinfessional, you can also send those there. If you want to come hang out and follow with us. Wow. Sybil is at Your Skin Fitness Expert and I am at Hala Famala. Or you can give us a ring-a-ling-a-ding on the Skinfessional box.
We certainly can. Hold on, I'm totally getting that part. It's 818-473-5277. Oh my gosh. I can't believe we're going to be at the new year. I'm freaking out a little bit. So guys, until next week, which will probably be next year,
keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.
Bye.